You're about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So for decades now, every time I eat, it decides to come out. For decades, we have been looking at the rise in colorectal cancer. And in the last decade or two, we have seen numbers spike in young people. Why? Why are younger individuals, millennials, Gen Zs getting colorectal cancer? So some theories are it's junk food. It's the radiation. It's the sitting all the time. Well, now researchers from UCSD may have another theory. What else has been very rampant among the youth? Legalized marijuana. And now there's a suggestion that marijuana could increase their risk of colorectal cancer. So according to Daily Mail, people who smoke weed are up to 20 times more likely to die from colon cancer. Researchers from UCSD, University of California, San Diego, believe THC, the psychoactive component that is in marijuana that gives you the hallucinogenic effects, may cause inflammation in the colon, and that inflammation could accelerate cancer cell growth. So the researchers looked at health records. It's a small study. They looked at health records from 1,000 people, all of whom had colon cancer. They compared those health records to those who smoked pot and didn't. And they found colon cancer patients with a history of using cannabis every day or nearly every day had a 56% chance of dying within 5 years. This translated to an 11-fold difference compared to people who never used marijuana. So THC, we believe, might also interfere with the T lymphocytes and tumor necrosis factor and some of the cells that, so when we get cancer, oftentimes our cells turn cancers. We have cells that mutate, go rogue all the time. But your body's immune system is looking for them. They find it and they knock it out. When you start to succumb to cancer, or when cancer decides to take hold, is when you have more cell growth than what your immune system can block and resolve. So you need your immune system as strong as possible. This is why people with HIV are more at risk for cancer, people with diabetes, immunocompromised states, because you need a healthy immune system to find the cells that go rogue and stop it. You also need to prevent rogue cells from happening. You have to limit your excessive sun exposure, limit your radiation exposure, limit your overprocessed foods, limit your alcohol, limit your tobacco. But the stronger your immune system, the better chance you have. They think the THC and marijuana can minimize your ability to fight off these cancerous cells. Also, they say another reason that might be happening is if marijuana makes you depressed or anxious, you might be less likely to be, full court press as it pertains to cancer treatment. You also may be less likely to go into the doctor and get it caught at an earlier stage, because this study is looking at people who died of cancer, meaning this had to have been found at a higher stage. So if somebody has rectal bleeding or a change in their stools or pain, or they're starting to now get advanced and they have weight loss, they may not, be as willing to go to a doctor if they do suffer from some of the mental health side effects that marijuana can cause. So, we need to know more. They say 18 million Americans, I apologize, my allergies, use marijuana every day or nearly every day. And I think the number is even higher. But this is, one of many studies that is looking at marijuana and cancer. And cannabis use has exploded since the legalization of marijuana. I've been honest about this. I voted to legalize marijuana, and I voted to legalize marijuana because I saw what was happening with opioids and how doctors were not going to be able to prescribe opioids that freely. And I wanted us to be able to study marijuana as it pertains to pain control. I also wanted our cops freed up so that they didn't have to very dangerously pull somebody over, worried that they had a bag of pot and then put their lives at risk. And the more we could study it, the more we could find medicinal applications. I was naive to think that high schoolers wouldn't get a hold of it to the degree that they did, college students. And now you have, the average young person, they say only 18 million, it's higher. And now that the average high schooler and adolescent and young adult is smoking, wouldn't surprise me if there was some link, to what we're seeing now in terms of colon cancer spikes. So we don't know everything there is to know about marijuana. As much as there may be some health benefits and medicinal applications as it pertains to Dravet syndrome and seizures, that doesn't mean it's safe for everybody. And it doesn't mean that it is not without its risks, especially since it's not really monitored very well. And there's not a lot of regulation as it pertains to that. So if you are smoking weed, you don't know what the pesticides are. You don't know what you're heating up, what chemicals are getting into you. Are you getting benzene, formaldehyde? You don't know if it's laced with something. And so the more concern we have from the health risks, the more there's going to be regulation. The more there's going to be regulation, the higher the price. And that might start to limit some of its use. I don't want to see, I was speaking at a women's group where somebody who had diabetic neuropathy said her edibles at the time cost $600 a month. Now, that was before COVID. I don't want to see people struggling to manage their pain, spending hundreds of dollars on marijuana gummies. We need to come up with better ways to control pain. But seeing that colon cancer risk is on the rise in young people, we need to figure out what the culprits are. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of the culprits could be marijuana use. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, the Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So a few years back, one of my friend's daughters was freaking out because she missed her period. And she was nervous because she wasn't sexually active. She didn't want people to think she was pregnant because she wasn't. And her period was always on the money. And all of a sudden now her period was off. And so gratefully, they reached out to me and said, what do I think it could be? And I asked her, did she get a COVID vaccine recently? They said, yes, she got it 3 weeks prior. I go, it could be that. Oh, that could affect the period? Yep. And then later we heard that in fact, I think the government gave millions of dollars to universities to study it. And I think the study came out, nothing to see here. But no, I think there is something to see here. If your body works like clockwork and all of a sudden now your period is off, why? Why is a COVID vaccine affecting your period? Well, now we have another study saying that it could also affect the flu shot could also disrupt a woman's menstrual cycles. Experts have found, according to Daily Mail, that the flu shot could lengthen a woman's cycle longer than usual. The overall effect was minor, but to change your period day at least a date at least by a day can be pretty significant. Why? Well, they think that maybe what's happening is that the change caused by the vaccine could be at the immune system level, where the immune system is affecting the hormones. And we've had many women, I guess, complain that after the flu shot, their period came late. And this obviously makes women very, very nervous. This latest study came from Oregon Health and Science University. They looked at 1,500 women age 18 and 45. And of those, 791 had the flu vaccine. Fewer people have been getting it. 710 had both the flu and COVID vaccine. On average, women who got the flu shot saw their menstrual cycle length increase by half a day. 1 in 20 women experienced a change in their cycle at least 8 days after the vaccination. They say the alteration of menstrual cycle only occurred if women were vaccinated in the first half of their cycle, which means before ovulation. Researchers also found the increase only occurred, according to Daily Mail, in women who were vaccinated during the follicular phase of their cycle, when the egg matures to be released during ovulation, which begins the day a woman gets her period and can last for 13 to 14 days. So a woman's cycle, day one, is when they have their period. I know people think we have our period at the end of the cycle, but day one is you menstruating. So day 5 to 7, roughly, is when you start going into the follicular phase. Your estrogen starts to slowly rise. It'll peak roughly day 14. Egg will hopefully ovulate. And then, as I said earlier in the previous segment or previous hour, you hopefully get pregnant within the fallopian tube if that's what you want. If it meets sperm there, then it comes down, lands in the uterus. After the ovulation phase, you start to have your luteal phase, where you have the progesterone rise to get ready to cushion and be there for that egg. If you don't have a fertilized egg, then you will start to slough off. You will start to, if you don't have the need to have progesterone, those levels fall. You dump out with a period that finishes out the cycle. Well, and then actually that'll start roughly day 28, and now you're back to a new cycle, starting your period day 1 through 5 or 7 or however long your period might last. So we noticed that with the COVID vaccine, that depending on where you got it in your cycle, it could mess with your period. Nobody wants anything messing with your period, especially since the system is a fascinating one. For those individuals who don't take birth control, that really use the rhythm method, or they use their cycle, there are caveats. We still recommend using condoms. You can still get pregnant even when you don't think you're ovulating. But for somebody's system who is working perfectly, it is fascinating how some people can time when they're ovulating. I even though I took birth control in the past, I was able to time it, and we got pregnant first day out, right when, for both kids, we were able to call the day. Not because I could feel it, it's just because I knew my body. And it's a gift. It is a gift to be able to know your cycle. And so, people might be like, I don't want to, get this messed up. On the flip side, though, a horrible COVID infection, a horrible flu infection, that's going to mess with your system. So women can tell you when they get sick and they get sick really badly, that will mess with their cycle as well. So I'm of the mindset to, if you're at risk for severe flu, severe COVID, get the vaccine. But, when we say, oh, yeah, these are all safe, it's fine, it's no big deal, that is a big deal. And the issue I had is when women were complaining as it pertained to the COVID vaccine, they were blown off. So what if your period is off by a day? You don't understand that. That is important. That is significant. If you're family planning, if you want to ensure that nothing goes wrong with the baby. So, it's a concern. Now, this mRNA technology we're using for COVID vaccines, we still aren't ready to do for flu, although they've been looking at that. Interestingly, they have been looking at mRNA vaccines for HIV. There's a report saying that 7% of volunteers got hives, a very itchy, bumpy rash. Hives could be pretty dangerous if you end up going into full-blown anaphylaxis and then have difficulty breathing. But they said patients given the experimental mRNA jabs for HIV, 7% of them developed hives. So they still have some work to do. We know that some people got hives from the Moderna mRNA COVID vaccine. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the mRNA technology. It could be some of the other substrates that are there. But when we are going to manipulate your immune system, we have to understand that we're messing with nature. We might be messing with nature in a positive way, but there could be unintended consequences. And so, what I remind everybody that, I wish we could make a decision where we feel it is 100% the right way to go. And unfortunately, every decision we make are going to have pros and cons, risks and benefits. And I don't think a lot of younger people are aware of that. They fall in love. All it is pro, and they don't stop and think about, well, there could be some cons. So you think about those, be prepared for those. Making a decision about what you're investing in. Well, it's all pro. It's all going to go up from here. Everything has pros and cons. When you take a medication, if you're going to get an eye surgery for LASIK or PRK, if you're going to get a hysterectomy, there's going to be, pros and cons. There's going to be benefits and risks. And you have to make a decision and always make a list. Are you prepared for the risk? Is the benefit worth the risk? For me, I didn't want to get COVID. I saw what was happening in the hospitals. I didn't have time to get sick. Plus, I wanted to show you all what happened. I'd rather be the guinea pig than you guys. And it was interesting because at first when the COVID vaccine came out, I wasn't going to take it because there were very few shots. And I was like, let somebody who is in more dire need and medically vulnerable, let them get it. And, people from the medical community said, Daliah, we need you to get yours. And I'm like, but I'm not as involved with patients as you are. I only see a few patients a week in person. They said that's not it. People need to know that doctors are okay if they get it. You're very public. Let them see you get it. So I did. I videotaped it, and it was on the news. And I let people see. I didn't faint. I didn't have an arrhythmia, but, some people did. Some people did have cardiac arrhythmias. There were some reports of cardiac arrest. There was one doctor who died of losing his platelets. There were some serious side effects with some of these. But at the time, I made the best decision possible that I could. I know people still say, I don't understand why you got the COVID vaccine. I don't understand why you did it. Because for me, it was a personal decision. And that's why I'm against mandates. For everybody, medicine needs to be a personal decision. You can't have public officials force people to do things. So if a woman is concerned about her menstrual cycle, she has a right to talk to her doctor about it before she gets the vaccine. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I have 3 cats, and they're getting older. I haven't adopted a new kitty in a while because there's a limit, I believe, where I live on how many animals you could have. And so we like to do rescue. We like to, be there for people who need a cat rescued or adopted. But there are limits on how many you could have. So we have 3 and the dog. And boy, do they go through these potty boxes. And, sometimes I just need to change them out and just throw them out. I could clean them up so many times. So I go on Amazon to buy some potty boxes, litter boxes. And they were $30 a pop. These plastic bins that I used to buy for $5, which I still think $5 was ridiculously high. $30 to $32 a pop on Amazon. Now, the reason why I've been going to Amazon is every time I walk into a Walmart, I end up spending a couple $100s. So I like the fact that I go onto Amazon with my Prime, buy the tube of toothpaste, and get out of there, with only spending the few bucks I wanted to spend. But I was not going to spend $32.99 for a potty box. So I decided, why don't I just look at a plastic tray? They don't have to be as big. What if I look up like a plastic bin for like a kitchen? Well, then I got them for $6 a pop. So all I had to do was change my search and I got them cheaper. But I've definitely been noticing Amazon prices go up and ridiculously up. I went and just bought some Claritin and a bottle of Claritin, loratadine for allergies, because you guys are hearing me. I'm just, really just nose always running. It's not easy. And Claritin doesn't make me sleepy like Benadryl does. I think it was, $12? For a bottle. Things are getting pretty expensive. So we heard, which has now been debunked, but we heard that Amazon was going to disclose to customers on its website the cost that U.S. tariffs imposed by Donald Trump were being added to the products. So so Amazon allegedly, there was some report saying that what they were going to do is before we got all, our panties all up in a bunch for prices on Amazon, they would show the breakdown and with transparency show how much of that was due to a tariff. And I that didn't sound right because I don't think that's a good move for Amazon. And White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said she had discussed with Trump a report, about that. And she said this is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Now, Amazon said today, no, they never considered listing tariffs. According to Reuters, they never planned on doing it on its main retail site. Nothing was implemented on any company site. And they say the team that runs our ultra-low-cost Amazon haul store considered the idea of listing import charges on certain products. This was never approved and is not going to happen. Because, I thought, Jeff Bezos wanted to be buddy-buddy with Trump. So I was kind of surprised about what that was all about. Now, Amazon shares dropped, but overall, the NASDAQ and Dow Jones have rebounded nicely. But, our shopping is definitely going to change. And, the idea that we pay more than other countries has really bothered me. I know people are saying the tariff issue is one of the most unpopular things of Trump's presidency. I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing people are saying, are you kidding me? And what was brilliant was that poster Trump had showed on Liberation Day, showing how much we get charged. Like Vietnam, I think we were 90% tariffed on goods. And he showed that our tariffs were still less than what they were charging us. Because he said if we, tried to charge 90%, to Vietnam, that could, cripple them. And I don't understand why everybody's getting all grumpy over trying to, equal or level the playing field. And I understand prices will go up. But we were told during climate change and global warming to be patient, spend the money on your electric vehicle, spend the money on your solar panel, spend the money changing out your gas grill to electric because this will help your great-grandchildren. Yet, as it pertains to tariffs, no, nobody wants to wait. Nobody wants to see how this evolves. Although I'm not 100% sure that electric vehicles are what's going to save the planet. I really don't like these lithium batteries. So Amazon said they're not going to do that, but the problem still remains. I don't want to spend $32.99 for a poo-poo box for my cats, especially since the older cat doesn't even want to go into the poo-poo box. He just wants to pee wherever he wants to pee. He's almost 19 years old. He's going to be 19 this August. And boy, is he reminding me of it every damn day. And he's still having sex with the girl cat. He's still eating. But when he wants to pee, he wants to pee in that. So I need to get a bunch of poo-poo boxes, little litter boxes, all over the house now. Because this old cat doesn't want... I've asked him if he wants to go to the farm. Many times. In fact, a vet wanted to put him down 3 years ago. She took one look at him, said, I think he's got cancer or thyroid disease. Let me put him down tonight. I go, tonight? I just brought him in because I thought he had a UTI. Can I bring him home to say goodbye to the kids? And so I drive him back, and he's looking at me like, don't ever take me back to that place. I go, and I'm crying in the car. And he's like, why are you crying? And I'm like, it's because you got to go to the farm. She said we have to put you down tonight. I'll let you say goodbye to the kids, but he's like, don't bring me back there. I go, okay, but you're going to have to go to the farm eventually. And here we are 3 years later. He still doesn't want to go to the farm. I don't know why. I make the farm look really nice. I tell the farm it's going to be all nice. You're going to have lots of girl cats to sleep with because he only has the one cat that he wants to sleep with and the other cat won't. No, he doesn't want to go. But anyway, the problem remains. Things are pretty damn expensive. Really expensive. Now, these prices have been ridiculously high since COVID. Toilet paper, paper towel. And even though we have in Trump's first 100 days seen gas prices go down, egg prices start going down, certain food prices go down, we're still a long way. And I don't think the prices are ever going to go back to pre-COVID prices. And we need those two because you can't get the salary. I'm not getting paid any more than I was before COVID. Yet, boy, is it taking a bite out. I got to go grocery shopping after my show, and I'm dreading it because it's going to be about $150 worth of groceries, and that's going to be slim pickings of my groceries. clothes. For those of you who watch me on Facebook Live, you probably see, maybe once in a while I might have a new blouse. It's not a new blouse. It's a blouse I kept in my closet for 5 years, and I don't care if it's out of style. It's a different blouse, so I'm going to wear it. But I am really cutting back on spending because we have to. Things are just too damn expensive. And they won't be once we get over this hump and we can have things manufactured in America and money coming in to offset, the taxes we're paying and being domestically independent as it pertains to oil. And I think there is so much we could do. Trump only gets to be in office for 4 years. I know people want him in there longer, but this is a second term. And he's going to try to do as much as he can. But it's not going to be easy. And all he needs is by the midterms for everybody to see what's happening from an economy standpoint. And we're being told that a lot of countries are already working to try to bring down tariffs and that's what we need. And for Trump to have a goal of us not paying income taxes, that would be fantastic. Not to mention for his legacy. If the IRS could be the ERS, the External Revenue Service, that'll be perfect. I'm for that. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. Ask and you shall receive. We have been begging for years for somebody to look into what kind of crap is going into our food in terms of the additives, in terms of the extra sugar, etc. Well, this is a huge, huge moment. PepsiCo has announced that they are already phasing out artificial ingredients in line with Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s drive to ban them for foods. They saw the writing on the wall. They want to be ahead of the curve. They should have done it years ago, but they are now transitioning a lot of their products to more natural ingredients. The food giant CEO Ramon Laguarta said that it would continue to transition products like Cheetos, Lay's, Tostitos, and Doritos to be more natural in response to a change in consumer preferences. Being reported by Daily Mail and multiple networks, LaGuardia confirmed that Lay's and Tostitos will be out of artificial colors by the end of this year. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. So we, as I've said this before, we have been using these food dyes and these additives that have been linked to cancer, hyperactivity, health problems, and they aren't for our benefit. It's for marketing. If a Cheeto or a Dorito is super bright orange, that does nothing for us. We don't get cool points in high school. Wow, Daliah, you look really, really cool munching on that chip with orange stuff all over your teeth and lips and tongue. No, the orange, the bright orange, is only for marketing. If somebody's eating chips, your eye is going to look at the kid with the brighter chip. It's manipulation. Yet we're eating the crap. It's about flipping time. PepsiCo is headquartered in Harrison, New York. They own more than 200 food and beverage brands worldwide, including 23 that generate over $1 billion in sales annually. LaGuardia claims that 60% of the company's portfolio doesn't contain any artificial dyes, and they are working to find natural alternatives for the rest of the brands. Now, the most scrutinized of these dyes, of course, are Red 3, Red 40, Yellow 5, Yellow 6. So what can they do as an alternative? Well, they could use coloring from beets, beet juice, pomegranate juice, turmeric, saffron, carrot juice, paprika. We have spices and herbs that have a lot of colorings. Now, we don't want to necessarily manipulate, certain flavors with other such as, trying to make a low fat food ends up involving more sugar, or trying to make something low in sugar involves more artificial sweeteners. We want to be careful with that. But I do not need a bright and a bright looking chip. Now, they say in March, PepsiCo launched Simply Ruffles Hot and Spicy Crisps. They contain no artificial colors or flavors. Now, they still have a seasoning that gives it a fiery kick, and they use that with red pepper and bold spices. But it doesn't necessarily have that bright color. Other products, they say, from the company, which are now free from synthetic dyes and flavorings, include Simply lines, Simply of Lay's, Sun Chips, Tostitos, Tortilla Chips, and Cheetos. However, many of the brand's popular products still have artificial dye, like the Flaming Hot Cheetos has Red 40, Yellow 5, Yellow 6, lemon lime flavor of Gatorade uses Yellow 5. So PepsiCo is going to work on this. They said they've been leading the transformation of the industry now for a long time on sodium reduction, sugar reduction, and better fats. This is about time. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary announced last Tuesday that the agency will phase out the use of 8 artificially food dyes in America's food supply within the next 2 years. This is huge. And so, there was a study in The Lancet looking at artificial food dyes and hyperactivity in children. And the Trump administration, has been also long advocating for these things to be phased out. Red 40, Yellow 5, Yellow 6, Blue 1, Blue 2, Green 3 by the end of 2026. These moves are going to take time. It is going to cost money. And yes, we might end up having, some price hikes, sadly, as it pertains to, food. If they say, look, it's going to be more expensive to try to make the same taste, with the coloring. I don't care, because we shouldn't be buying the stuff anyway. If you really want to make that red looking dye, use some beets. Make it healthier. Now, I'm not a big fan of beets, but boy, does that beet red ruin all of my clothes. Yeah, I went out to dinner and they said we had beets in the salad. And I was like, oh, crap. I'm like, I need a bib. But it's healthier. So from what I understand, the FDA doesn't have necessarily a formal agreement with the food, industry to carry out these goals. But if you are a food giant, read the writing on the wall. We do not want this stuff in our food. We also don't want tax dollars paying for that in terms of our SNAP benefits. We need to look at what we're putting into our body and understand that there could be risks. We just had a study that we spoke about with marijuana, and possibly the THC is causing inflammation in the colon and showing a higher risk of colon cancer death. Well, why aren't we doing anything about it? We are putting stuff into our bodies, and we have no idea what the pathophysiological complications can be. Yet these companies want to market their product. Lucky Charms. It's a very attractive cereal. But, and it's magically delicious. But do we really need those marshmallows that bright? It's not helping our kids. It's helping Lucky Charms sell. Skittles. I could have no glasses on, the lights could be off, and I could see a bowl of Skittles across a house. No nutritional benefit for me whatsoever. But those dyes help sell the product. It's about time we don't sacrifice our health for other people's profit and gain. And, I understand RFK Jr. has a lot of critics. But I got to tell you, man, he has the cojones to get out there and start making this stuff happen. Why wasn't this done before? Javier Becerra, why didn't he do this? Why didn't Kathleen Sebelius do this? Why didn't Dr. Fauci recommend it? We've had people that have been high up in prior administrations. They could have recommended this. Why? Well, because they didn't want to go up against big food. Somebody had the guts to do it. And RFK Jr. has nothing to lose. People have ripped on him left and right, for his past. And he's got nothing to lose. So this is about time. Good for Pepsi. I am sure this is going to be the first of a long line of companies that are going to start following suit. Because once people realize, smoking is bad, you started to get that ick factor. And, I don't want to, criticize Mountain Dew, but Mountain Dew scares me. Why is it fluorescent? I don't want anything fluorescent going into my body. I've watched enough Simpsons cartoons. The 1-877-Daliah, don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.